Okay, let's get into it. When you hear the name A Christmas Carol, you probably think of, sleigh bells, maybe a feel-good holiday special.
Sentimentality.
Exactly. But for our deep dive today, we're going right back to the source, to Charles Dickens' original 1843 text, and specifically its full title.
Which is so revealing.
It really is. A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
In prose, being a ghost story of Christmas.
A Ghost Story of Christmas. We have to remember that subtitle because it tells you two things right off the bat. One, this thing is meant to be scary. And two, our mission today is to get past all that holiday fluff and explore it as a ghost story, yes, but also as a really radical social critique and, a moral allegory for Victorian England.
And the person at the absolute center of this is, of course, Ebenezer Scrooge. Dickens wastes zero time telling us how awful this guy is.
No, he comes right out with it.
He does. He uses this just spectacular, brutal list of adjectives. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner.
That is just such an aggressive list. It's Dickens establishing that Scrooge isn't just a garden variety miser. He is the hardened embodiment of greed, of capitalistic avarice. He's a symptom of a sick society.
Totally. So the core conflict is his metamorphosis, right? The conversion of this callous, isolated man into someone generous. But to get how huge that change is, you have to understand the philosophy he starts with.
And that philosophy gets its big moment when the charity collectors visit him in stave 1.
Yes. And this is where we jump straight into the politics of it all.
Yeah.
They ask for a donation, and Scrooge asks if the prisons and the union workhouses are still in operation.
And the treadmill. Don't forget the treadmill.
Right. And when they say many would rather die than go to the workhouses, he drops that famous bone-chilling line.
If they would rather die, they'd better do it and decrease the surplus population.
Ugh. Decrease the surplus population.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
It sounds so clinical.
It is. And that phrase is Dickens throwing down the gauntlet. It's a direct shot at Thomas Malthus's theory, Malthusianism, which was, incredibly influential among British intellectuals at the time.
So for anyone who might not be familiar with that specific economic idea, what was Malthus arguing? Why was it so cruel?
Well, Malthus basically argued in 1798 that human population would always grow faster than the food supply. So poverty, famine, war, these weren't tragedies. They were necessary checks on the population, especially the poor, to keep everything from collapsing.
So starvation was basically a feature, not a bug.
Exactly. It gave the wealthy an intellectual justification for doing nothing, for their own indifference.
So Scrooge isn't just being a jerk. He's quoting a mainstream economic philosophy. He's personifying this cold, calculating mindset that sees human beings as, what? An accounting liability.
Precisely. He's defending the New Poor Law of 1834, which was designed to make poverty relief as miserable as possible so people wouldn't ask for help. And we know from the sources, Dickens was directly satirizing arguments from thinkers like Thomas Carlyle with those questions about the prisons and the treadmill.
So this whole story is, in a way, an intellectual battle. It's scarcity versus abundance.
Yes. Scrooge embodies scarcity. He hoards his money. He thinks helping others somehow diminishes him. But Dickens is arguing for abundance. He's saying that if we just change our hearts, if we embrace generosity, there's enough for everyone. The moral transformation has to come first.
And for Dickens, this wasn't just some abstract debate, was it? This was deeply personal.
Oh, intensely personal. His father was put in debtor's prison, and young Charles, as a boy, was forced to work in a warehouse pasting labels on pots of shoe polish.
Wow.
That feeling of abandonment, of poverty and injustice, it shaped his entire worldview, especially when it came to children.
Which is why he didn't just write about it. He visited places like the Field Lane Ragged School.
Yes, a school in one of London's absolute worst slums, an area you'd associate with Fagin's Den in Oliver Twist. These schools took in the children who were literally too ragged, too dirty to go anywhere else. For Dickens, how a society treated its most invisible children was the ultimate test of its soul.
And that idea of invisible, neglected children, that takes us right to the heart of the critique, doesn't it? The figures of ignorance and want.
They are, for my money, the most profound part of the entire novella. The ghost of Christmas Present just opens his robe, and there they are, these two wretched, starving children.
And the description is horrifying. Yellow, meager, ragged, scowling, wolfish. He's saying they're not even human anymore.
They've been dehumanized by neglect. They're the monstrous product of industrialization. And then the ghost gives that command to Scrooge, and really to the reader.
Beware them both, and most of all beware this boy, for on his brow I see that written which is doom, unless the writing be erased.
The boy, ignorance, is the real danger. Because ignorance is denial. It's the middle class looking the other way. Dickens is screaming that if you ignore the causes of poverty, you are guaranteeing social collapse. Doom.
And the human face of that poverty, the
Yeah.
counterpoint to all this, is the Cratchit family.
Right. They are the perfect example of what the sources call rich poverty. They have nothing financially, but they are overflowing with love, with spirit.
They prioritize agape, that sort of selfless Christian love over mammon, the worship of wealth.
Absolutely. And at the center of that family is Tiny Tim, described as being as good as gold. He has these medical problems his family just can't afford to treat.
And this is where it gets personal for Scrooge. The ghost tells him that if things don't change, the boy will die.
That's the moment. It's
Wow.
pivotal. Because suddenly surplus population isn't a theory anymore. It's a little boy. It's Tiny Tim. Scrooge's selfishness, he realizes, has a direct human cost.
Okay, so that's the problem. How does Dickens actually engineer the solution, the transformation? You said it's a ghost story.
It is. The structure is built around these four spirits. They are the catalyst for Scrooge's psychological and moral breakdown, and then his rebirth.
And it all starts with Jacob Marley.
Marley is the warning shot. He was just like Scrooge in life, and now he's dragging this heavy, clanking chain that he forged in life.
And I love that detail. The chain isn't just a chain. It's made of cash boxes, keys, ledgers.
His accounting tools.
It's a nightmare for an accountant. The very things that made him rich are now his eternal punishment.
Perfect symbolism, isn't it? His worldly success becomes his spiritual prison. And he's there to tell Scrooge, you've had 7 more years to make your chain even longer. It's a visceral, terrifying warning.
So if Marley is the external threat, which ghost is the first one to actually get inside Scrooge's head?
That would have to be the ghost of Christmas past. This spirit forces him to look inward. It confronts him with his own memories, his lonely childhood.
And the breakup with his fiancée, Belle?
Yes, that's the moment of self-betrayal. She says to him, another idol has displaced me, a golden one.
He's literally worshiping money. Mammon.
He is, and he's forced to watch this memory of a life he could have had, a family, what Dickens calls a springtime in the haggard winter of his life. It's devastating.
And the source material points out this idea of the mesmeric touch. The ghost touches him near his heart. What's that about?
Well, mesmerism was this 19th century idea about healing, about spiritual energy. The touch is symbolic. It's suggesting this isn't just a mental exercise. It's a spiritual and even physical opening up of Scrooge's hardened heart.
Preparing him for the next ghost.
For the ghost of Christmas present. The giant, joyful figure who represents all the warmth and abundance Scrooge is missing out on right now.
He's sitting on this huge feast, sprinkling good cheer from a torch.
And it's all a sharp contrast to Scrooge's own cold, dark, empty house. But this ghost is also aging rapidly right before Scrooge's eyes.
Right, because the present is fleeting.
You have to seize the moment. And it's this ghost, the ghost of the now, who shows him both the joy of the Cratchits and the horror of ignorance and want.
The joy and the suffering, side by side.
It's all happening at once, but the final nail in the coffin, the thing that truly breaks him, is the last spirit.
The ghost of Christmas yet to come.
The silent phantom, the most terrifying of all. This ghost doesn't talk, it just points. It torments Scrooge by showing him a future where people are delighted he's dead.
It's the horror of his own irrelevance, his own anonymity.
Exactly. People are stealing his bed curtains and no one cares. It's the absolute terror of a lonely death, of being completely unmourned.
And when he sees his own name on a gravestone, that's when he completely breaks down.
He begs, he pleads, I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. He promises a total reversal just to have a chance to sponge away the writing on this stone.
And it works. The transformation in the final chapter, Stave 5, is so complete, the weather itself changes.
It does. No fog, no mist. Clear, bright, jovial, golden sunlight. His internal world has changed, and so has the external one.
He's euphoric. He says, I am as light as a feather. I am as happy as an angel. I am as merry as a schoolboy.
That list of similes is fantastic. It's like his greed was physically weighing him down, and now he's free.
He even says, I'm quite a baby, like he's been reborn.
A Christian rebirth, absolutely. A return to innocence. And he immediately proves it with action. He buys the turkey, he donates to the charity, he raises Bob's salary, he makes amends.
The legacy of this story is just. It's immense. It's been adapted countless times.
Oh, for sure. And it literally changed the language. Dickens popularized Merry Christmas, bah, humbug. became part of the lexicon.
And Scrooge itself became a word for a miser. It's in the Oxford English Dictionary.
It is. But more than that, I think Dickens successfully redefined Christmas itself. He tied it to social reconciliation, to this idea that the wealthy have a sacred duty to help the poor, that mankind was my business, as Marley says.
So what does this all mean then? Our deep dive really shows that A Christmas Carol is this powerful, radical argument that we can choose empathy, that we can reject a worldview that values profit over people.
And its message about valuing every single human life like Tiny Tim's is a direct challenge to the scarcity mindset that, we still see all around us today.
It's incredible to think the book has never been out of print since 1843. But, okay, here's a final thought to leave you with.
Okay.
The sources point out that modern adaptations are often more famous than the book itself. We have this remembered version of the story, which sometimes includes scenes that Dickens never even wrote.
Right, like Scrooge visiting the Cratchits on Christmas Day. That's not in the book.
Exactly. So the question for you is this. If you strip away all of those later cinematic additions, all the extra sentimentality, and just focus on Dickens' original critical text, what stands out to you? What is the single most powerful lesson the spirits imparted?
Is it the economic warning of Marley's chains? The psychological shame of his lost love? The social threat of ignorance and want? Or just the raw existential terror of that lonely grave? What part of the original machine truly carries the weight of Dickens's call for change? Something for you to think about.